Right. Hello, postgraduate science week 2024. Okay, correct. Now we will on. Now the audio will also go.
Yeah, you speak now. This is this one.
ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಲ್ಯಾಗ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಈಗ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ ಜೂಮಲ್ಲಿ ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ ಕಳ್ಸಿದ್ರೆ ಯೂಟ್ಯೂಬಲ್ಲಿ ಲೇಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಕಳಿಸಿದ್ರೆ ಲ್ಯಾಗ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು
My audible?
ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ಬೇಕಾ ಮೈಕ್ ಸ್ಪೀಚ್ ನಾವು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮೈಕ್ ಇಟ್ಬಿಡ್ತೇವೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಟಚ್ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ವೈರ್ಲೆಸ್ ಇಟ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀವಿ ಒಂದು ಮೈಕ್ ಅದು ಲ್ಯಾಪ್ಟಾಪ್ ಇಂದ ಬಂದಿರೋದು ನಾವು ಮೈಕ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಮೈಕ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಸೆಪರೇಟ್ ನಮ್ದು ಮೈಕ್ ನಿಮ್ದು ಅಟ್ಯಾಚ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋದು ಅದು ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಇದು ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ವೈರ್ಲೆಸ್ ಕಾರ್ಡ್ಲೆಸ್ ಮೈಕಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಮೈಕ್ ಅಟ್ಯಾಚ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ನಿಮ್ದು ಅಟ್ಯಾಚ್ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಆಗಲ್ಲ ನಾವು ಬಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಕೇಬಲ್ ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ ಅದು ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಟೈಮ್ ನಾವು ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ ನೀವು ಮಧ್ಯಾಹ್ನ ಮಾಡಿ ಮೇಬಿ 2 ತಂದಿದ್ದೀವಿ
ಇಲ್ಲ ಈಗ ಇವ್ರು ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕಲ್ಲ ನಾ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಮ್ಮಿಂಗ್ ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ಯು ಸ್ಪೀಕಿಂಗ್
ಅಟ್ ಸಮ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ವ್ಯೂ ಕಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಸೊ ಇವಾಗ ಬಂದು ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತಾರೆ ಇವಾಗ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ ಇರೋದು ಕಟ್ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ
ಸರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಲ್ಯಾಪ್ಟಾಪ್ ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಇಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ
ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ಸ್ ಆಪರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ
ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ಸ್ ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಆಪರೇಟ್ ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ಸ್
ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಫೋನ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು
ನನಗೆ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ பேசாம நான் வெளியே போய் நிக்கிறேன் நான் வந்து கூப்பிடாருல போறேன் கூப்பிடுங்களா அட்னன்ஸ் பத்தி நீதான் ಸರ್ ಅವ್ರು ಏನೇನ್ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಿದಾರೆ
right?
So lab.
ನಿಮ್ಗೆಲ್ಲ ವಾಯ್ಸ್ Yeah, all of the fake. It's coming. Is it here? Aruna, is it not audible now? Ouch. Sit down, sit down, sit down. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Now I request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. S. V. Suresha, Director of Education, Dr. K. C. Narayan Swamy, and our Chief Guest, Professor K. Ganeshaya, to grace the dais by occupying their respective seats. I am Madhusudan M.R., first year PhD scholar, Department of Genetics and Plant Breeding.
And I am Surbhi, junior MSc student from Department of Agronomy. And I would like to welcome one and all to the Postgraduate Science Week 2024.
It's always a painful tradition to invoke the Almighty at the beginning of any event.
So now I would like to welcome Ms. Sanjana and Ms. Rashmi to please pray for us. Mangaladayaka, Agara Sukara Vinyanivayaka, Agara Sukara Vinyanivayaka, Mangaladayaka, Mangaladayaka, Ishvara Parvati, Pritiya Pukkane, Ishvara Parvati, Pritiya Pukkane, Pata Pushadhara Parama Pavitra, Pata Pushadhara Parama Pavitra, Vinayaka, Mangaladayaka, Vinayaka, Mangaladayaka. Buddhi-godeyaniga, Chitta-swarupa, Buddhi-godeyaniga, Chitta-swarupa, Nitti-janana-vara-sandana-lepa, Nitti-janana-vara-sandana-lepa, Vinayaka, Mangaladayaka, Vinayaka, Mangaladayaka, Agara Sukara Vishna Nivaraka, Agara Sukara Vishna Nivaraka, Vinayaka, Mangaladayaka, Vinayaka, 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 Mangaladayaka. Thank you, Sanjana and Rashmi.
Now I request Dr. K.C. Narayan Swami, Director of Education and Dean Postgraduate Studies, US Bangalore, to deliver welcome address and opening remarks about Postgraduate Science Week 2024.
Honorable Vice Chancellor, respected chief guests, officers of US Bangalore, esteemed delegates, respected jury members and evaluators, faculty members of the US Bangalore and my dear postgraduate students and invitees. Good morning to all of you. It is with immense pleasure and honor that I extend warm welcome to all of you on this momentous occasion of the inauguration of the 11th PG Science Week 2024. Today marks the beginning of 4-day Science Week at the US Bangalore, dedicated to celebrating the scientific exploration of our PG students and innovative ideas in the form of startup innovations, competitions. We are privileged to have with us our esteemed Vice Chancellor, Dr. S.V. Suresha sir, whose leadership and vision continue to steer our institution towards greater heights. Your unwavering commitment to fostering an environment of academic rigor, intellectual curiosity is truly inspiring, sir. We are deeply grateful to you for your presence in this occasion. So, in this occasion, I extend warm welcome to our Honorable Vice Chancellor. We are also honored to welcome our chief guest and our beloved teacher, Dr. K. Ganeshaya, Emeritus Professor and Distinguished Scientist for this occasion. Throughout his career, he has probed into diverse array of research domains, including evolutionary ecology of plants, insect-plant interactions, insect behavior, biodiversity mapping, documentation, utilization, and conservation of biodiversity. He has published more than 181 research papers and 11 scientific books. Besides, his contribution to the science. So he is a prolific writer in his own, language, that is Kannada. He has authored several, the fictions, non-fictions, literature in Kannada, and also the collection of short stories. He is popular as a science writer, science writer or Kannada writer in Kannada language. He has also, he had greatly strengthened the PG Science Week during his tenure as the Dean of Postgraduate Studies. Sir, your remarkable contributions to the field of science have been a great motivation and inspiration for many of our students. So in fact, your pioneering research and dedication to advancing knowledge resonates deeply with the core values we uphold here at Bangalore. We eagerly look forward to your insights and guidance. I extend warm welcome to Dr. Ganesh. I am happy to see officers of the Bangalore, Director of Research, Director of Extension, Dean Agri DKVK and the campuses, Special Officer, College of Agriculture, University Librarian, Dean Agri Mandya, Dean Sericulture, College of Sericulture, Chittamani. And my special thanks to Professor Belwadi. In fact, he was also instrumental in starting this, I think, very prestigious science week during Dr. Ganesh Yadav as a deep teacher. I also extend warm welcome to our honorable external experts and jury members for their participation. Definitely your knowledge. So sharing with your knowledge with our postgraduate students definitely will enrich the scientific spirit. So a special I welcome and thanks to the faculty members who have worked tirelessly to organize this event. In fact, all my PG coordinators, heads of the department, and also all the faculty members and the staff members of the Directorate of Postgraduate Studies, they have in fact tirelessly, they have worked day and night to make it more, the grand success. That's why we could see today the jam-packed auditorium of Kuyampu Sabandana. I would like to take, in fact, finally, to all the PG students, you are the heart of the institution, your enthusiasm, curiosity, and diverse to trying to explore the unknown or that which makes event like this truly worthwhile and memorable. I encourage your active participation in entire 4 days event. So in fact, I would like to highlight the importance of the science week and also the objectives why the University of Agricultural Sciences Bangalore is organizing the annual science week every year for the benefit of PG students.
Thank you.
The UASD Science Week is an annual event where postgraduate students showcase their research findings in the form of oral presentation by the PhD scholars and post presentation by the master degree students. In fact, as I told, this was initiated during the year 2014 when Dr. Ganeshaya was the Dean PGS. So first time it was introduced in the US Bangalore. Then onwards it has become an annual event, and even other foreign universities in the state and across the country have adopted our model. I am really grateful to you sir for initiation of this Bangalore. This event serves as a science festival featuring a well-structured schedule of the scientific programs and the evaluation system. This is in fact fairly evaluated by the jury of members who have been drafted from different institutions. So we wanted to have a unbiased evaluation of the system. The primary objective of this science week is to inspire students and foster the development of strong research and communication skills in the field of agriculture and allied sciences. During the Science Week 2024, the outgoing PG students as well as the doctorate degree students, they will be making their presentations. Nearly there will be 413 the presentations, both doctoral and PG students. And so here, and in addition to that, there will be a separate session. So entire day, the session will be there for this presentation by the PG and PG students, that is the startup idea presentation. During this time week, so both the UG and PG students, nearly 31 students, they are presenting their innovative ideas for the startup under the startup program, In the previous 10 PG Science Weeks, eminent personalities have inspired our PG students by gracing the occasion. See, among them are Professor M.R. Murthy, Padma Bhushana, Dr. U.R. Rao, Professor Balram, Dr. S. Ayyappa sir, then Professor S. M. Q. Prasad, Director, Academy of Higher Education, Dr. Deepak Shankar, former Vice Chancellor, Delhi University, and Dr. Subra Hegde, Director of Biotechnology Risk Analysis Program at State Department of Agriculture. Then Dr. K. Vijayaraghavan, FRS, former Secretary Department of Biotechnology and Principal Scientific Advisor to Government of India was also having guest of honor during the science week. In the previous science postgraduate science week, that is in 2023. So Dr. L.S. Sheshidhar, Dr. L.S. Sheshidhar, Director NCBF, graced the occasion and inspired the students during the science week. During this science week, there will be 5 different parallel sessions comprising the crop production, crop improvement session 1 and 2, then social sciences, food science and technology, and plant protection. In fact, hitherto we had only 4 sessions. This year we have added 1 more session. That is, we have made food science and technology as a separate session during this year's program. Then, in addition to these scientific sessions, there will be plenary sessions also, which will be addressed by eminent personalities. In fact, they are the alumni of IIS Bangalore who have, they are the having significant contributions in the field of their own field. For example, so in fact, there will be special sessions like excitement in science, science for society, and opportunities in scientific agriculture. So our invited speakers like Dr. Ramegoda, Director, Hospital Medicine, Boston University, USA, Dr. C.S. Prakash, Dean, Tuskegee University, USA, and Professor Arun Kumar Srinivasan, Professor of Economics at Chair, Indiana University, Indiana, USA. All esteemed alumni of IIS Bangalore will be joining online, on 7th, 8th, and 9th, and they will address our students and they will inspire our students, and also they deliver their talks based on their rich experience in their respective fields. So, in fact, we are delighted to mention here they are proud alumni of IIS Bangalore. I am delighted that Dr. K. Ganesha will be delivering the keynote address now. PG Science Week 2024 with August 9th. The Science Week will be featured by, featured with the presence of Honorable Deputy Director General Dr. R.C. Agarwal. So, in fact, we are delighted to hear his words also. He is also a very good speaker, especially in the field of agriculture. So, with this, I once again welcome you all to the PG Science Week. I congratulate all the PG Science, students who are participating in the Science Week. I request once again all the PG students to be present in their respective sessions 100% because attendance is compulsory and the participation of your presence in the respective sessions will be 100% is a must for completion of the this assignment of the academic programs. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And also, we'd like to welcome you to the Postgraduate Science Week 2024.
Now, I request our chief guest, Professor K. Ganeshaya, to inaugurate the program by lighting the lamp, and I also request our Honorable Vice Chancellor and DOE to accompany the inaugural ceremony.
Thank you to all the dignitaries for inaugurating the program. And now it's time to release the compendium.
So I request our chief guest and keynote speaker, Professor K. N. Ganeshaya, former Dean of Postgraduate Studies, US Bangalore and Senior Scientist, INSA Bangalore, to release the compendiums. Thank you, sir. Now it's the most awaited moment of this session, the keynote address by our Professor K. N. Ganeshaya. So I request Dr. S. Ramesh, Professor, Department of Genetics and Plant Breeding, to give a brief introduction about our chief guest, Professor K. N. Ganeshaya.
Dignitaries on the dais and off the dais, and my dear students. It is indeed my pleasure to present the biodata of one of my greatest teacher and inspiring scientists. Professor Ganeshaya, after his education, joined this very prestigious university as a faculty and served in the Department of Genetics and Plant Breeding. He also served as the head of All India Coordinated Research Projects on Potential Crops and Chickpea. And during his stint as head of the ASRP on potential crops, he has developed and released Suvarna, a variety in grain amaranthus, which is even today a national check. He has served as the professor and head of the Department of Environment, Ecology, and later he served as the Dean Postgraduate Studies in this very prestigious university. His service as Science and Society is highly significant. Just to make a mention of a few, he served as the editor of the Current Science and made a significant impact in the area of agricultural sciences of the journal. He is the co-founder of research organization like A3, Ashoka Trust for Research in Ecology and Environment, which is now grown into a very big research organization. He served as a core committee member in several national level project research advisory committees such as DHT, DBT, ICR, etc., which
Walking and talking.
demonstrate his ability to guide and shape national research programs. He continues to serve as INSA Emeritus Professor in the Department of Genetics and Plant Breeding. Sir, please allow me to take the time for presentation. Thank you very much.
Am I audible? It's such a wonderful thing to see every one of you wearing the T-shirt. And when Nataraj told me I should also wear the T-shirt, I was rather hesitant. Now I feel very happy that I'm with one among you. Thank you very much, Nataraj. And in fact, I would say this is a very unique thing. I don't think this kind of scenery can be seen in any other organization like this, where all the PG students will be wearing. Can you all stand up once? And can the photographer take a photo, please? Wonderful, beautiful. Are you all happy? Thank you. Now, Dr. Narayan Swami told that I was responsible for starting this science week. I think that's rather taking too much of a credit on my part. As a matter of fact, it's an effort of a large group of my colleagues, some of whom are here, like Bedawadi, Dr. Uma Shankar, Vasundhara, Neena Joshi from Home Science Department, Chandrasekhar from Entomology Department. It's a result of a joint effort, and I don't mind taking credit for all of them together standing here, but I should really thank all of them for their efforts. Uttaraju from the same, department, PG department, they all helped me a lot. And if at all there is any success that we see today, it's thanks to all of them. I just have 3 points to make on the science forum before I start my talk. Number one, I was evaluating myself, is this science week a real success or not? Any success has to be evaluated through parameters. I felt parameter number one that shows that it is a success is that, as Narayan Swami rightly told, this has been replicated or copied by other universities also, which means it is a great success. And number two, I have attended 2 or 3 science weeks after I retired, and I was amazed to see the kind of festive activities where every student was very enthusiastic and participating. That to me is the second parameter. And the third parameter, for 10 continuous years without any break, it has continuously been held. That to me is a great success. And so perhaps it will continue to be there. However, Dr. Narayan Swami, and this is a message to all of you, including Vice Chancellor, I think any event has to now be evolving. If it doesn't evolve, it is not good. My suggestion is this whole format has to be perhaps now improved rather than increased further. I have one suggestion, sir. Perhaps our university can take lead. The very purpose of Science Week was that the students should now get an experience of talking in front of a wider audience. That has been partially done. Now, what if we convert this intra-university Science Week into an inter-university Science Week also? I know it's rather difficult to gather all of them. However, I have a small model that I would like to suggest. Every year, let each university conduct their respective Science Weeks. You select anyway the best among the presenters in that whole. Among them, if we can select some best 4 from each university and make them all assemble in one university every year and present them so that the best of this university is known to other universities and the best of their university work is also known to our universities, and this can be circulated every year. This year it could be in UAS Bangalore, next year it could be in Shimoga. That requires some leadership and that requires talking to other universities also. So from an intra-university science week, if we can move on to inter-university science week, may not be so much of fanfare, but at least as an academic activity. In fact, those 4 best students that have been chosen from 5 or 6 universities put together will be around 30 talks for 2 days. It can be brought out also as the annual, report or as a proceedings of the inter-university science week for all the universities put together. It also perhaps now ties together the science activities going on in different universities. That is my suggestion. Now coming back to the talk. For the content and the material that I'm going to speak today, I could have chosen several titles, but I thought I will choose this title, Brain, Behavior and Science. If any of you find that no, this is too broad a topic and not very interesting, I will try to make it interesting by talking on brain, behavior and science of the girls. I'm sure all the boys will be interested. Of course, girls also will. But jokes apart, let me start with a serious note of introducing a very interesting personality. This person is from a small village near Kolar, in Kolar Taluk. His village in 1950s when he was a child was so illiterate that there was no one in the entire village who was educated. But he somehow passed through 7th standard and SSLC. He became a teacher. And after he became a teacher, he also had to now shoulder the responsibility of a giant family, which was almost 40 to 45 people. Now, having shouldered, he decided that all the girls in his house should be educated. And that was the decision he made. As a matter of fact, having made this decision, he wanted to send his first daughter, elder daughter, to high school after she passed 7th standard in a neighboring village. But she had to walk 1.5 kilometers to the bus stand and then take a bus and go to Kolar, go through the high school program and again come back 12 kilometers and get down late in the evening and walk 1.5 kilometers back to the village. And this was obviously in 1960s was a very difficult thing for a girl. What happened was this man was opposed by the entire village because he was sending his daughter with such a risk in the morning and evening times. You know what he did? He joined hands with some of his friends, went to the government and demanded that a high school must be sanctioned to the neighboring village of his village, and eventually brought a high school to that village. And this girl, the elder daughter, went to that school. Not only that, as I told you, he had a huge family. All the 7 girls of his house were educated and they retired as teachers or engineers. And if you want to know who this person is, I am proud to tell that he is my father. There is a reason why I brought my father's story here. In 1972, when I joined BSc Agriculture, there were 3 sections with 160 students in that. My father came with me to admit me to this college, but then he found that there was no girls at all in the college. Generally, parents feel very happy when they find that their son is in a college. He told, girls cannot do agriculture. He also felt that in most of the families in the villages, there won't be men at all. There is a single ladies married in agriculture. Why is that agricultural university does not have girls at all in agriculture? That was the kind of feeling he had. But in October 7th, 2019, Times of India carried a news item under the title, at UAS Bangalore, more girls enrolled for agricultural courses. And Dr. Mahabaleshwar Hegde, who was the registrar then, released a press note of the following kind. When undergraduate classes for agricultural courses at the Bangalore University began a few weeks ago, the number of girls was on par with boys or even more. My father would have been very happy to see this. Unfortunately, he was no more by then. Now I see that our university has this kind of scenario. Mostly girls and rarely boys. And I'm very happy about it. The reason why I'm telling this is that today's talk of mine is in fact centered around girls and science. So I thought perhaps I'll give you the background of the change that I went through in my whole life and the reason why I'm choosing this particular topic to present in front of you. Not only in our university, I have been going out to give talks on academic events from 1980s. throughout the country, we see that the proportion of girls, especially in the postgraduate studies, is increasing almost logarithmically and attaining almost 50%. As a matter of fact, almost 8 to 10 years back, when I went to Gulbarga to deliver an academic talk, that is a talk from the Indian Academy of Sciences, 80 to 90% of the students in botany and zoology were girls. I was so happy to see that. In other words, we see that in the country, there is an era of emerging women, or there seems to be an emerging era of only women dominating in academics. I am happy about it. However, though it is true that women are emerging, there is something that is very disturbing if you look at the pattern in which these girls eventually now reach up in their life. Now, this is the data that I'm going to give is from the global data. What is the data? On the x-axis is by BSc degree, MSc degree, PhD, postdoctoral fellows, professors, and people who are engaged in managing administration of sites or production of sites. Now, what is happening to the girls there? Of course, to begin with, you will see that 50% of the population who enter BSc will be girls. But there will be almost 50% at the postdoctoral fellowship also. Later, suddenly there is a drop. Girls are now leaking out. There are no girls in the profession, and there are no girls in the management. Somehow they are missing out. On the contrary, when it comes to men or boys, their population or their proportion is actually increasing after the professor post. So why is this? This is the global data. This is not just our country data. I have had an opportunity to discuss on this data in an Indo-German project with Germany and with the French people. Everywhere this is the pattern. So we don't need to feel very ashamed about it. We need to only be concerned about it. So when one questions why this bias in gender, I found that there are two major reasons. One is the very science itself. There is in fact a scientific basis for this kind of bias. And number two, a cultural bias and also a cultural basis. I am going to now deal in the first half of the talk these two events. So what is the scientific bias? Thanks to Belwadi for giving me this story. This guy is called Paul Broca. He is an anatomist, anthropologist, and French physician. He is so well respected in France for his work that his name is etched on the Eiffel Tower. All of you know Eiffel Tower. There are only about 72 or 74 names etched on the Eiffel Tower, and his is one among them. He is so important and so much respected in France. He is well known to now have discovered something very interesting. What is that? What are the parts of our brain that are responsible for thinking, responsible for speech, responsible for talking, etc.? There was a patient with him called Tan. He was called Tan because he knew nothing else than talking Tan, Tan, Tan. What is your name? Tan. Where are you going? Tan, Tan. What are you going to eat? Tan, Tan, Tan. That is the way he used to respond, and so he was called Tan. Eventually he died. And when Paul Broca dissected his brain, he found that the left side part, in one place, he was missing a part of the brain, and that part is the red part. And that is later called as Broca's brain because he identified it. So one of his great contributions is locating the part of the brain where we now derive the messages to now speak and to construct sentences. But while he is a great scientist, he had his own bias about girls. What is that? He has now concluded, and all this based on the data that he collected. He has concluded that in general, the brain size is larger in men than in women. Would you agree with that? Oh, I see some girls nodding their head. Thank you, madam. So obviously, there are no girls who would agree with that. But remember, he provided data for this. Not only he told that men have larger brain than women, he also told that the white men have larger brain than other races like black Indians or Negroes or Chinese. So somehow they wanted to feel superior. Who? The white men. Among the white men, males wanted to feel superior, and they somehow produced this data to show that men have larger brain. Number one. Number two, he also told that there is a remarkable relationship in the size of the brain and the intellect of the person. In other words, those who have large brain are more intelligent. Women have less brain and so they must be less intelligent. That is his conclusion. So implications of this are the following. Number one, women have less brain and so they are less intelligent. When the brain is small, the broadcast brain, which is responsible for speech, is also small, and women have lesser brain, so their broadcast brain also is smaller, and so their ability to speak is also small or less. In other words, women cannot speak as good as men, was the conclusion drawn by Broca. How many of the girls agree here? Raise your hands. Very good. Now I will tell you that you are all right because of the following. Fortunately, Broca had done one great thing. He had preserved brains of some people whom he had examined as an evidence of all his data. And along with that, he also had suggested that they should preserve his brain also. Because he thought his brain is very great, and so he suggested that it should be preserved for future study. Later, in 70s and 80s, I'm sure many of you know Carl Sagan, a famous astrophysicist, cosmologist. He wanted to now study the structure of brain and its relation to the intelligence and all that. He came to France, where these brains were stored. He examined these brains and especially took hold of Broca's brain. And when he observed Broca's brain, he found that Broca's brain was smaller than the average size of the female brain. And he claimed himself to be very intelligent. His brain size is much smaller than that of woman. And so he must be less intelligent than a woman. And so all the conclusions that he drawn must be wrong. So you all can now feel happy that his conclusions are not correct. Women are no way less intelligent than men. In fact, Carl Sagan wrote a book called Broca's Brain. All of you can read. It is a very interesting book and very good reading indeed. Not only that, as recently as 2017, a group of scientists examined the size of this Broca's brain in women and men. There are two areas, one the surface area and the deep inside. They are called 44 and 45. Don't bother about them. Both of these parts of the Broca's brain, the scientists studied. And what is the result? Now 44, if you take, as you can see, females have a larger 44 than males. And also 45, if you see, there also females have a larger Broca's brain. Broca's brain is responsible for speech. And so that means women are capable of speaking better than men. Much against the conclusion drawn by Broca. In other words, Broca's area is larger in women than in men. Language skill of women is better than men, and women can speak better than men. Will all the boys agree with this? Women can speak better than men. If boys don't agree, you get married, you will know. In other words, we see that there is a biased view about the speaking ability of the boys and girls were undervalued as a matter of fact. And this undervaluation was promoted by the scientists also. And as I just showed, the science was manipulated, and a lot of women suffered because of this. Just to give one example, here is a lady called Sibylla Wright Master, who produced a machine to prepare cornmeal out of the corn, and she applied for the patent. She was not given patent because she was a woman. Patents were not being given to women during that time. Why? Science and technology cannot be done by women. That was the kind of feeling the West had. Eventually, you know what happened? Her husband got the patent for the discovery that the wife did. Because husband can get the patent. And this is the kind of bias West had. Now I'll talk here about the scientific basis and bias about how women were undertreated or undervalued. Let me now go and talk about how globally there is a cultural bias also on the way or the capability of women in thinking. I'm sure all of you know who this is. Yes? Wow, Diana. And that is Charles. I thought Diana will be told more loudly by boys, but I see girls telling that it is Diana. Do boys know Diana? Yes. Now, that is Diana and this is Charles. And anyone knows height of Diana and Charles? You may not know, but boys should know the vital statistics of Diana. Diana is 5 feet 10 inches. And girls, what is the height of Charles? I'll tell you, 5 feet 10 inches. Both of them are equal in their height. Now imagine if both of them are standing, do you find any difference in their height when they are standing together? You will not, and you should not. However, if you see any photo of Charles and Diana, you will see always Charles now showing his head up and Diana always now crunching down, because the palace in London will not release any photo where Diana is now photographed taller than Charles. It is a must for palace to make sure that photographs are released like this. Look here. That Diana is crouching in the chair to make sure that Charles looks taller. In fact, if you carefully see any photo, you can go to Google and see any number of photos. There you see that if at all the photograph has to be released, she is made to sit and he is standing. And she is made to crouch and he is now raising his head. Now, why is this difference? In other words, you see that, look here. Here, Diana is made to now walk 2 steps ahead in a slope, and then the photograph is taken. And there, she is made to sit and the photograph is taken. This is universally you can see in all these photographs. In other words, Diana seems to be a victim of British chauvinism. Incidentally, this was not discovered for a long time unless a scientist observed this in the context of something else. Now, what is that context? I'm sure all of you know what is called as sexual dimorphism. Sexual dimorphism is a situation where males and females differ in their size. More often, males are larger than the females, but in some situations, females are also larger than the males. Here is the situation where male is larger. Now, this scientist wanted to now study sexual dimorphism. As I told, the males and females differ both in shape and size and also in other features. In some species, males are larger, but in some species, females are larger. His purpose was to study the effect of climate change on sexual dimorphism. Meaning, as the climate changes, whether this dimorphism between male and female, difference between male and female will also change. That was his purpose. But as you all know, climate change is a very recent phenomenon. Only from 1950s we have been recording climate change. We don't know what the situation was earlier, but certainly 100 years back, climate was normal. And so you wanted to now study sexual dimorphism 100 years back and sexual dimorphism today in the same set of species. But where do we get the data for the sexual dimorphism 100 years back? What he did was, he went about the old data, especially the museum specimens. You know, in the museum specimens have been collected and stored 100 years back by zoologists, and paintings. He also now collected paintings by the British painters. Number of paintings were obtained. He measured all of them. And in particular, when he was measuring the paintings of these birds, he found something very peculiar. When he compared the museum specimens and the paintings, he found that there is something missing in the paintings compared to the museum specimens. What is that? Sizes were not truthfully represented in the paintings. Museum specimen size cannot be changed, but while painting you cannot change. What was the change they made? Very interesting. Whenever the males were larger in the museum specimen, that is actually whenever the males are larger, these painters had painted them 15% extra than what actually male was. In other words, if that is the male on the left-hand side, that is the actual size of the male, they had enhanced the size. Why? Male is superior. However, in other words, if let us say that is the actual difference between male and male of course is larger than the female, but in the paintings, male was shown much more larger than what actually it was. Are you all with me? Similarly, whenever female was larger, let us say in this situation here, there is this female on the left-hand side which is larger, they never painted in the painting the same size, they showed it smaller. In other words, if the female is larger by so much, they did not show so much increase in size of the female, they showed 15% lesser. Now, why is this? This is because British have a cultural problem to accept the female dominance. They always think male are dominant and they cannot paint the actual size of the female if she is large. In other words, there is this cultural bias always to evaluate women or girls, and that is the reason why you see all these things. The last slide among this on the right, on the left-hand side, I think is literally telling what men are doing to women in Britain. He is pushing Diana down by his right hand side. In other words, women are perennially subjugated by men in all ways possible. Now, this is about how girls have been underestimated and girls have been mistreated, and the reason why we see the drop in the proportion of women getting into jobs. Let me now move on from here to ask you one question. What is that? Well, all this is false, true, but can women do science? Of course, this is a ridiculous question because we have fantastic examples of Marie Curie, Janie Ammon, or any number of great achievers like Leelavati, Barbara McClintock. You all know the contributions of these ladies. But whenever someone tells that, look here, there are these ladies who have done wonderful work, they have also got Nobel Prize. Generally, those who know favor that male is superior than female, they say, no, these are all exceptional cases. Some abnormality, some mutation among the females. All females cannot do good science. Are these really exceptions? I would say no. Each one of you or each one of our girls can do an excellent science. So what I am going to do in the next 15 minutes is to give you one or two examples from how an ordinary scientist in India can do a wonderful science. And hence, we should now derive inspiration from these girls to do science, especially in a situation where girls are being suppressed from their abilities. One of the story I am going to tell perhaps is known to many of the seniors here, and they might have heard, but at the cost of being repetitive, let me now tell you. This is a story of an Egyptian scroll and Indian cows. As you all know, Egyptian civilization was very, rich, almost 3,000 to 5,000 years back. And the story I'm going to tell you is from a place called Kuhuan Desert. Where is this Kuhuan Desert? That is Cairo, where the pyramids are there. To the northeast of Cairo, there is a small place called Kuhuan, which is historically very well known, and is a desert today, but there was a great civilization there. One scientist called Flinders Petrie, a British archaeologist, he was now digging this desert during 1898, and he got some scrolls when he was excavating there. Scrolls means like nama shasana garigal tara, or papyri, they say, they prepare out of papyrus, paper, and so they are called papyri. So he recovered the scrolls. On the scrolls, there was this Egyptian language, no one could read it, so he carried it to London, and after about 10 or 15 years, they were translated by very few handful of few people who knew the Egyptian language. And what does those scrolls were telling? There were two sentences on the scrolls. One among them is this: you must put urine of woman on a cloth bag containing wheat and barley. Collect the urine from a woman and put it on a bag containing wheat and barley. If they germinate, she will bear, means she is pregnant. If they do not germinate, she is not pregnant. Now look here, very simple test. You don't need to know, go and buy 150 rupees plus test to test your pregnancy. Simply take wheat seeds and urinate on that, you will be able to see whether you are pregnant or not. Now and this is published in this book called Secrets of Ancient Civilization, that was read by this lady called Dr. Veena from our university. At least she was in our university, but she did this work. And she wanted to explore this in the human beings in India. She went to doctors, discussed with them. All the doctors were excited and they were happy to help. However, when you want to collect the urine, you have to take the permission of the lady. Somehow in our society, there is a sensitivity among pregnant women. They did not want to give the urine. And so she decided, okay, I need to take the permission from ladies, but I don't need to take the permission from the cows. And she's a veterinarian. So she went to the dairy and she collected the urine of the cows and she thought she would test it out. What happened? The test is very simple. Collect the urine from the cow, both pregnant and non-pregnant, dilute it 1:4, put it on the wheat seeds, and that is non-pregnant urine, pregnant urine, and water as a control. Maintained for 5 or 6 days, the result is given here. As you can see, when you put the urine of the non-pregnant cow, seeds germinate as good as the water or control, whereas from the pregnant urine cow, seeds do not germinate. please note, this is exactly opposite of what the script had told. That may be because either the physiology of cattle is different from the physiology of men, or the people who translated the Egyptian language might have gone wrong. Whatever it is, the result showed that you can identify pregnancy of the cow purely by growing few seeds of wheat, and in about 5 days you will get the result. Now this work is very important because it's such a simple test compared to the elaborate tests available for the cattle pregnancy test. For example, after 60 days of inseminating, artificial insemination of the cows, veterinary doctor is called to the village and he puts his hand, gloved hand into the rectum and examines the development of the fetal inside and then tells the farmer whether it is pregnant or not. If it is not pregnant, the farmer has to take the cow again for insemination. So 60 days of yield is gone. Not only that, when the doctor feels the fetus, 20% of the time fetus is also aborted. That is also recorded. So it's very dangerous test. Other than that, there are number of sophisticated chemical or biochemical tests which cannot be now adopted by the farmers because they are very costly. Whereas this test that she developed is so simple. And she went on repeating it in about 250 cows and found that it works wonderfully well in diagnosing pregnancy in the cattle. And not only that, within 10 days of insemination, you can say whether cow is pregnant or not. And she now released this technology and it was universally accepted by the farmers. There are videos made by the farmers to tell others of the colleagues that this test works very well. She called this test as Punya Koti test after the name of her daughter whom she had called Punya Koti. Now, how was this received? In the beginning, this test was looked down. Why? Generally, in our scientists, there is this psychology. If you have to do good work, it has to be a lot of complicated work. This is too simple a thing, it can't be true. That is number one. Number two, who has done? Veena has done, a girl, now it may not be. This is the kind of response it had. But thanks to the staff of the veterinary college, they accepted it very well and they pushed it. It is now a well accepted technology all over the country. There are at least about 25 theses now, PhD thesis working on this all over the country. And this girl eventually was recognized by the Karnataka state government as C.V. Raman Young Scientist Award. The reason I'm telling this is that there are among us girls and ladies who can do wonderful work. This is just one example. Let me now give other examples. I will not go into the details. Janaki Ammal, all of you know. People say, oh, Janaki Ammal is an exception. But I don't know how many of our students know about Shailaja Kittalmani in our own university. She brought international projects to our university. Wherever you go out of country, when you now talk about the QTLs, people ask about, do you know Shailaja Kittalmani? Isn't that a very big award, a big achievement? And she has now released also varieties in paddy using the QTL techniques. I request you to give a big clap. Please go and talk about these girls in your labs. And there is this lady, Vasundhara. Many of you may not know. Vasundhara, can you kindly stand up? There is the great scientist Amit here. He is well known for her, thank you. She is well known for her work in medicinal plants, especially stevia, the one that gives the artificial sugar. She has developed high stevia yielding plants. The sweet tulsi she has developed. Swaminathan has appreciated her work. And in fact, sir, my request, there are these luminaries in our university. Somewhere their photos have to be displayed either in the VC office or in the DPG office so that the youngsters should now get inspired by them. So if I can request you all to give a big clap to all these great scientists. The last section, I will now come to the behavior of girls. Now, when I come to the behavior of girls, generally, we have lot of these biases on the woman. What is that? Men say, oh, woman is very difficult to understand. And they become Devadas. But there are also other people who say, no, woman is not very difficult to understand. It's very easy to understand. I was happy when I read this sentence. But the sentence is told with a negative intent. You know why? A woman is very easy to understand because a woman's mind is cleaner than the man's. Why? She erases her mind very often. Hey, boys. You should be ashamed of. I'm now negatively talking about it and you are clapping. And they also say she changes her mind so often that her mind is always clean. These are all the negative ways in which we look up or look down upon women. I should confess, I also had a similar negative view on my own wife. What is that? I never used to give my car to be driven by my wife. Why? Because I am under the impression that women do several things at a time. Look at this girl here. She's applying to rice. What is that? Huh? I call it Kazalama. Some Kajal is applying. She's having mobile on her left side. She's talking to someone. She's holding a cup of coffee and she's also driving. How many things you can do at a time? Now, when you do like this, several things at a time, especially when you're driving, it's not unlikely that you end up like that. And so I never wanted to give my car to my wife. I don't know if Vasundhara gets from Luther. You get. And of course, one solution my wife found was she bought her own car. So all of you also should now do similar. Now, this particular behavior of women that they can do several things at a time was investigated in fact by two ladies, both from India. One from Pune, Symbiosis Institute of Technology, another from University of Pennsylvania, and one from USA is Ragini Verma, and one from Pune is Madhura. What did they do? They looked at the neural circuitry and connectivity in the brain of women and men. What did they do? They took about 428 men and about 520 men and women, and they examined connectivity between the two hemispheres and within the same hemisphere by some technology we will not bother about it. The result is the following. One among the sex had this kind of criss-cross connections, whereas the other sex had very simple, straightforward connections. Now, how many of you think that the right-hand side image is a woman? Oh, others seem to be shy. But those who think there is a woman, you are right that, that is actually a woman. And let me go back, there is actually a woman and this is a man. In other words, woman's brain has a lot of connectivity. They can do wonderful things that a man cannot do. There is a lot of discussion going on in a woman's mind whenever she does one thing. And so she is capable of doing several things at a time. And so they told greater connectivity between the left and right sides of the brain in women, in fact, is contrasting with the connections in men that are mostly confined to individual spheres. As a result, what? They concluded that women actually can do multiple things at a time. But the conclusions that Madhura and that lady draw were very, very interesting. Look at this. One of the conclusions they drew was that men's brain is designed to facilitate connectivity between perception and coordination required while driving. In other words, men are only good as drivers or as mechanics. Whereas woman's brain is designed to facilitate communication between analytical and intuitive processing. That means women are good in creative works. No wonder, women sometimes fail in driving and because they have a lot of creative things to be now done. If you carefully see, who was the driver of Arjuna?
Krishna.
Because Krishna's connections are only straightforward. Whereas Saraswati's connections are in the cross, and so we now recognize her as the goddess of creation, goddess of knowledge. So even mythology perhaps seems to suggest that is true. Madam, can you kindly come to the stage? Please come. Sir, please, if you don't mind. Now, you can see one difference in the dressing pattern of these two, man and woman. What is that term that side, madam?
Sir,
Look at the matching. Whereas man always goes for the contrasting color.
Sir,
You can look at any girl here, any man here. Thank you. You can look at even Dr. Narayan Swami, எல்லாரும் நம்ம DRO, எல்லாரும் contracting dress, white shirt to dark pant or dark shirt to white. நானும் whereas any woman you can see, they will always have matching. Of course, not the girls today because they come dressed with the t-shirt. If someone like Shyamala has a different color of the saree, she will make sure that on the jacket there will be a matching color. So that is the tendency of women to now match colors. And this torture to men is known when they go for buying dresses in the shops. So this is a behavioral difference. Any number of photographs you can see, you will see that men will have a contrasting color and women will always have a matching color. So why is this? Look here. There is something very, very peculiar here of matching. What is that? Look at the purses also. They take lots of trouble in matching. So why is that women are so meticulous and and take trouble to match? The reason seems to be laying in a bird. So don't blame the ladies. What is that bird? These are called finches. These finches have been examined by scientists and they are known to show a very peculiar behavior. What is that? Whenever they build a nest, they make sure that the material that they use is always of uniform color. Look at it, bird nest. This is also actually, and they also match that material of the nest to the background also. Okay, so matching is deep rooted in finches. And this experiment was done by two scientists. This paper came in Nature. I'll show you the paper later. What did they do? They took a blue colored box and they provided to the birds these different strips to be used to construct the nest. Just to simplify the story, let me tell you, let us say they took this blue box and they gave 50% of the blue colored strips and 50% yellow colored strips. If the bird randomly picks and doesn't have any matching, like the girls have got or ladies have got, they should now take 50% of the yellow and 50% of the blue, correct? If they don't have any preference. But when they actually completed nest construction, they found that 80 to 90% of the strips they used were blue color, only 20% were yellow color. Means finches have this ability to match the color of the background with the color of the material they use for the nest. So the matching tendency of the ladies actually has come from finches. So the strip they use will match with the color of the backs, and no wonder our ladies also use a similar color thing. However, there is one secret here. What is the secret? Woman's sense of beauty seems to have been inherited from the birds, and so people say women have bird brain. What is the meaning of bird brain? Small brain. But if you carefully see the paper, this is the paper, from which sex of the bird it has come to the woman? It is the male who builds the nest and not the female. So it is the male who actually has matched the strips and not the woman. So you can't say women have bird brain. Actually, look at that. 20 male zebras actually could build the nest. And so male birds build the nest and not the female. Women do not have bird brain, but they have got male brain. Girls have a specific behavior that men ridicule. In fact, they could be proud that of their uniqueness because that is actually a wonderful behavior that they are inherited. Last two slides. I'm always proud to see this kind of slides or this kind of photographs. Here is a lady commander of our army trying to show or demonstrating how to defuse the detonator of a bomb to a commandos of the Russian army. Our Indian army, lady army. And I'm sure all of you know this thing. Madhu Bakaru got us the first gold medal. And of course, my love among the girl players is Priti Mandana, the cricket player. We don't need to now talk about Sunita here. Any number of girls are there who have shown their abilities. So my last message to my dear girls here. You are all very good, very intelligent, very capable. You are all very smart and beautiful also. And so live life like a queen or a princess. Don't be influenced by any of your fellow words that you are not capable. So you like to live life like a queen or a princess? Yes? I would say no. Don't follow anyone. Live as yourself and do good. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your inspiring words and valuable insights about this session. So now I request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. S.V. Suresha, to give the presidential remarks.
Good morning. Respected the chief guest of the today's program, my teacher and a great scientist, Dr. Ganeshaya sir, the Director of Education, Dr. Narayan Swami, and dear student friends, with all our faculty members. Probably after hearing to Dr. Ganeshaya, anybody speaks may look little bit hard also, what I feel. But just because I have been asked to preside over, it's my duty to speak for 2-3 minutes. All this time you have listened to him for an intelligent woman. How women will be intelligent and how they can contribute for the science, family, society and community also. But on a lighter note, sometimes we expect an innocent woman should also be there in the society. Or otherwise, the life will become more miserable. Why I'm saying this? Probably I might have quoted this sometime back in any of the program. You just tell your girlfriend that you are looking like a son. What will be your response? What normally you used to tell her? You are looking like a moon. Am I right? Normally the comment by a male to a woman is you are looking like a moon. But will anybody dare to say that you are looking like a sun? No. So when you say that you are looking like a moon, if she is very intelligent, if she is very scientific oriented mindset, then she will start quarreling with you. How can you say that I am looking like a moon? Do you think that I will be 15 days more brighter and in 15 days I will be very dull? And do you think that I am a very moody person? And do you think that I have a mark on my chin? Or do you think that I will never shine without your presence? What happens to the light? So what I feel, though the woman needs to be intelligent, sometimes you needs to be more innocent also. And when coming back to this science week, Dr. Ganeshaya said that it is the brainchild of his team and he has started this and also he evaluated the science week based on certain parameters. He said continuously it is organized, no doubt it will be a permanent integral part of this science week because of its utility in future. And also already or successfully we have completed some time with the existing pattern of science week and he has suggested a little bit of modifications also where instead of an intra-science week, let it be an inter-science week for future where all the universities can be coordinated and it can be done. So you all know that we have an Indian Science Congress, likewise at least a farm university science week in Karnataka, where it's not necessarily taking 400 students from one university and probably it will be around 1,500 to 1,600 students in a common place. Maybe on concurrent sessions, we can also take all the students rather than taking only selected or a few students. That can also be experimented. And I will assure you that I will have a meeting with all the vice chancellors of other universities. And if possible on rotation basis, we can do it in the different
universities also over a period of years. So that can also be explored. And absolutely, there is nothing wrong in exposing our students to the research activities that have been conducted in the other universities in the state also. So that will widen and give a more exposure to the students for the kind of research activities. And normally, science is based on curiosity, what I feel always. Once we start arousing the curiosity among the student community, naturally they will develop interest and they will show more or enthusiasm in conducting a good research. And the another parameter is it because it has yielded very good results. But I am happy at the end he said, always it is better to evaluate yourself for the success, whatever that you have achieved, rather than somebody else who are sitting here as the evaluator. It is only an external evaluation and it will be done by them based on their opinion. But ultimately, if you get satisfied with whatever the work that you have turned out, with the advice and guidance of your chairman or with the advisory committee, definitely that will widen your road for success. And ultimately, that success should lead to the satisfaction among your students. So I feel this Science Week is made a beautiful and a lot of thinking on how this society, the cultural barriers, made the movement to feel little bit of on a lower side of it, including by giving a wonderful example of the British culture, the White House culture. But still, I feel now there is not much indiscrimination or discrimination among the male and the female population in the country. There are a lot of programs, lot of opportunities. But only thing, it is a person is more wise if he can grab the opportunities that are given to him, whether it is a male or a female. Make use of the opportunities and try to show that you can also contribute and make it wonderful for the contribution of the society. With this, let me wish all the students who are presenting their work in front of the evaluators, maybe in different groups, and you will be exposed to different subject matters by the external experts who are addressing you for another 3 to 4 days. So let me congratulate the Directorate of PG Studies for such a wonderful organization of this program. And also once again, let me wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Now I request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. S.V. Suresha, to felicitate our Chief Guest, Professor K. Ganesh.
Now I request Dr. K.C. Narayan Swamy, Director of Education, to felicitate our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. S.V. Suresha.
The front camera is. Coming.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Dr. N.B. Prakash, Dean Agri, College of Agriculture, GKVK Bangalore, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good morning, everyone. First, Vice Chancellor Dr. Suresh sir, my beloved teachers, and also today's inspiring person, Dr. Ganesh sir, our Chief Guest today, and Dr. K.C. Narayan Swamy, Dean Postgraduate Studies and also Director of Education, and all my officers of the university, faculty, my dear PG students, esteemed students. It is a proud moment for me to propose vote of thanks. Of course, after listening to the lecture or the keynote lecture from our beloved teacher, really I don't have any words to express my feelings. It was almost just like listening to his lecture 30 years ago in an undergraduate class. We are proud to be your teachers, sir. And really, on behalf of the university, once again, I express my heartfelt thanks and gratitude for having releasing the compendium of abstract and also delivering the talk, the brain, behavior, and science of girls. Of course, all my PG students to request in a way to express this kind of a lecture and listening to him, give a very big round of applause. And the family everything necessary in that regard. Please give him a big round of applause. Give him a family everything. Thank you very much. It is a great gratitude, small of us, and the lecture really given us, in a way, this 11th Science Week, or PG Science Week to be dedicated to our PG girl students, in my opinion, because we have already run 10 such consecutive PG Science Week. 11th will be remembered forever, since you are the one who started this event with the group of few scientists, as you said, and from all of us, once again, thanks very much, sir, for delivering the task as well as gracing this occasion. So once again, I need to thank our Honorable Vice Chancellor, who also delivered the presidential address and also agreed for some of the suggestions given by the chief guest in reforming or modifying, organizing the Science Week in the future by taking into the confidence and consensus of other foreign universities in Karnataka. Sir, once again, I need to be thankful to you, sir, for accepting the Director of Postgraduate Students request and gracing this occasion and presidential remarks. So, the most important person or the key person who really initiated this event in making this particular program a great success is none other than our Director of Education, Dean Postgraduate Studies, Dr. K.C. Narayan sir. Once again, I need to thank for all meticulously planning this event to happen at this moment and witnessed by most of our faculty members and the PG students. So I need to thank you, sir, in this regard. So most important, this particular event is witnessed by majority of our officers of the universities and former postgraduate deans and professors and the faculty members and my postgraduate students. So I need to thank all of you for witnessing this particular occasion, and I need to wish all my PG students very best of luck in your presentations and carrying this momentum in a very befitting way with regard to your presentations too. I wish you all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Now it's a group photo session. I request all the dignitaries to come to the first row so that the photo will be taken from this side. I request all the students to stand up. Now the oral presentation and poster presentation will start. Today there is a oral presentations of crop protection, social science, crop improvement, food science and technology in the respective venues, which is already told. And the poster presentations of crop production 2 will begin now at the North Block foyer and lobby. In the afternoon session, it's crop production 1. So there is arrangement of high tea and snacks outside the auditorium.
I request all the students to proceed to the respective venues of your group oral presentation and North Park Agricultural College foyer for poster presentation.